everyone, welcome to JIB CIB English Medium. My name is Sia Arti Pathak and here I am going to cover your Chalisa, in which we are going to cover your most of the important topics. So without any delay, let's start this session. So first of all, what you need to remember about the contributors under your management. We have 4 different contributors. Number 1, Henry Fayol. He is also known as the father of modern management and he gave the theory known as formal organization theory. And next is Frederick Taylor. He is the father of scientific management and the scientific management is also known as Taylorism. Next, methods to improve the industrial efficiency we can see, and the book he gave, that is the Principles of Scientific Management. Then the third contributor is your Peter Drucker. So it represents people, achievements, failures, denotes effectiveness of management or mismanagement of the organizations. Correct? And what is the book? Management TRP. Remember, this is how we remember this, Management TRP, given by Peter Drucker. And the last, Peter Senge. So here he gave the book, that is Fifth Discipline, the Art of Learning Organization. So these are the few contributors under your management. Now, next important thing is your management thoughts and approaches. First one is our traditional, or you can say classical school. In this we used to see the employees and the work is only the thing which we are focusing, correct? We are never going to focus on the motivation part. So this is one of the biggest drawback of this traditional or classical school. So for next we have the new classical or behavioral school, where we have seen that the motivation part is the important part which we are observing in employees. So here we are focusing on human actions, we are focusing on motivations, correct? So in this we have seen Maslow's hierarchy of needs, Douglas X and Y theory and motivational hygiene theory. These are the 3 theories we have seen under which neoclassical or behavioral school. Now let's talk about Douglas X and Y theory. So X theory says the individual or any human beings that are going to be lazy, they are not ready to do any work. You need to push them, you need to always tell them that this is your responsibility. Means we are never going to say that they are going to show you as a responsible person. But if you talk about theory Y says here your employees are self-motivated, they are very creative, they just want the environment in which they can show their skills, in which they can do so many new things, correct? They are motivated. So this is about theory X and theory Y. Both talks about different things. So this is about theory X and Y. Then next we have Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Remember, we start from the bottom, correct? We first focus on our basic needs. Then we move towards the safety needs, then love and belonging needs, self-esteem needs and self-actualization needs. Then we have motivation hygiene factor. Here we have 2 different factors. One, hygiene. Next is your motivation. So motivation, how you receive? When you are doing some challenging work, correct? When you are getting recognition, when you are getting responsibilities which gives you the positive aura. Then next is your hygiene factor, the basic things that as a human being we all want, like salary, correct, job safety, holidays, all these things are basic things. So if the hygiene factors are not present, this will lead to demotivation, but motivation is not present, then it will not lead to any demotivation. So this is about your motivation and hygiene theory. Then after that we have quantitative school or management science. So basically here we are focusing on mathematical and statistical tool, correct? Next we have system school of management and this is given by Daniel Katz. And here we are talking about the environment. Environment, in this you are going to include both the environments, that is your internal and external. Both the environments are included because in every organization you are going to see the effect from internal as well as external environment. Then contingency school of management. Now you cannot say that in each and every organization you can perform this respective steps. No, every management, every manager, they are going to behave differently, they are going to work differently. Okay, so there is no any prescribed rules and regulations and steps that you can apply here. So that is what contingency school of management talks about. Each leader might deal with the same situation in different ways, correct, depending on his/her leadership style. So this is about contingency. Then next we have contemporary school of management. Here we are going to talk about TQM, total quality management, and then we have learning organization. So first let's start with the TQM, total quality management. So basically here our main motive is to provide the best quality with available resources, correct? What are the 4 main elements of this? That is employee involvement, customer focus, standardization and continuous monitoring. Remember, employee involvement, whenever you are making any decisions, whenever you want to know about what steps you can take, you need to involve your employees because basically they are working on the ground level and they know what is the right thing, which is the right approach and what is not working actually on the ground level. So what you can do, you can involve your employees. Then next, customer focus. What customer wants, not what you want to produce, what you want to manufacture. So this is about customer focus. Then standardization. Wherever, if you are setting up your plants, like if you talk about the McDonald's, Domino's, in any part of India, if you visit, they are going to provide you the same flavor, the same taste, the same kind of things. Correct? Why? Because of standardization. Then next is continuous monitoring. Whatever steps and whatever rules you are making, you need to follow those things consistently. You need to continuously monitor if anything is diverting or anything is not going as per your rules and regulations, then you need to work on those. So these are the 4 different elements of TQM. And who gave this? Deming, Jurek and Crosby. Okay? These are the 3 main contributors to TQM. Then we have 14 principles under this also. And let's see the next, that is your learning organization. Now, our learning organization, this is given by Peter Sinch. 5 disciplines. Now, first one is personal mastery. You need to continuously focus on learning and self-improvement. How you can improve, how you can do better, how you are improving yourself. That is what personal mastery. Then next is shared vision. Vision created collaboratively, not imposed. Basically, when you are working in any organization, you cannot work as a sole and individual person. Correct? You need to work as per your team. You need to work as per your organization. So, here this encourages the risk-taking and innovations. Here you need to work as team. Then mental models. So you cannot take any assumptions. Okay? First, if you are getting any doubt, you need to talk with your manager. You need to talk with your leadership. So if you are getting wrong assumptions, then you need to clarify it. That is about assumptions. Your manager, what they want to tell, understand it. And if you are not, ask to them. That is what mental models. Correct? Next, you have team learning. So collective learning must be more focused than individual learning. You need to work as a team. Then system thinking. So big picture prescriptive, all parts are interconnected. Everything is interconnected in your organization. You cannot say finance department is working good, let's leave our production department. No, every department, everyone is interlinked. So that is your systems thinking. Correct? So these are the 5 learning organization given by Peter Sinch, 5 discipline. Now, this is important one. This is your business models. So let's start with the very first one, that is consulting model. Now in this we have taken the example of IBM. So this offers the expertise advice to improve client operations. Then we have profit pyramid model. Now under this profit pyramid model, we start with the low cost of products, correct? And then we start selling upsell high margin items. Like example, we have seen General Motors. Then next is multi-component system models. When you are selling your base product at a very low or no profit, correct? And by selling the essential add-ons at a higher amount. Correct? You are selling your gelate at a very low amount, and when you are selling that part of it, the gelate blades, that is selling, you are selling at a higher amount. So this is what your multi-component models. Then you have next advertisement model. How YouTube, how Google, all they are earning with the help of advertisement model. Then next we have switchboard model. Now in this we have the platform, okay? We have the intermediaries, like if you talk about Myntra, Amazon. So we are dealing with the buyers and sellers, correct? But through what? Through intermediaries. Amazon, Myntra, Zomato, Flipkart. So that is what switchboard model. Then next we have time model. The first one who is manufacturing or who is doing the innovation, they are going to take the customer support. Okay? They are going to see the huge profit margin. So if you are the first, you are going to take the advantage. So that is what time model. Then you can see efficiency model. So you enter when market is mature with standard or low cost with mass productions. Like if you see DMart, they are using this efficiency model only. Here you can see Dell, Southwest Airlines, Walmart. Then next you have blockbuster models. So big profits from few items like patent or star driven, like pharma companies, movies. In that, what type of a model they are using? Blockbuster model. Then next you have profit multiplier model. Here use one concept to fuel another profit areas like synergy. Okay, so if in this we see the example of Disney. Okay, so we all know Disney, they are very famous, but with the help of different items what they are manufacturing like bag, okay, erasers, pencils, in the shape of those cartoons, that is how they are earning. So that is profit multiplier model. Then entrepreneurial model. So in this we are seeing a niche and fast growing ideas, not attractive to large firms. Basically in this we have seen the example of Tata acquired 1mg. Tata already established company, 1mg performing for specific medical sector only. Okay? So in this Tata MG were acquired by 1mg acquired by Tata. So that is your entrepreneur model. And the last one you have, that is de facto industry standard model. Now here you offer free cheap products to build brand dominance, then upsell like Microsoft. So these are the different business models we have. Now next we are going to talk about strategic management. So now when you talk about the process by which a firm manages the formulation and implementation of strategy, that is what strategic management. Now here you have derived the strategy word from the Greek word known as strategos, meaning what? General's view. Now under this we have different terms, okay, and these are very important. In exam they can ask you directly questions based on this. First is mission. Mission is what you are. What is your core objective? What you are doing right now. That is mission. Next you have vision. Your future. Your future, what you want to achieve. How you see yourself in yourself after 5 years. That is your vision. Next you have clientele. Which type of customers you are focusing. You are focusing teenagers. You are focusing this 25 to 30 age group. Children, you are focusing. What is your particular customers. Then resources. When you want to produce the goods, you need to always remember that you have only limited resources. So how you are utilizing those resources, correct? That is about resources. Then present and future. Who are your present competitors and who are your future competitors and how you are going to survive in this competitive market. So these are the 5 different terms you see under the strategic management. Now next is types of strategy. So basically we have 3 types of strategy. Number 1, corporate, then business, and then functional. Okay, corporate means overall company. When we talk about Reliance company, okay, so that Reliance company overall strategy when they are forming, or any new particular business or sector when they are entering, correct? So that is corporate strategy. When Reliance Industry thought about Jio, so that is corporate strategy. Then next, business strategy. Now Reliance Industry works in so many different areas, correct? So how they can excel in that particular field, who are their competitors, whatever strategy if they are making on that level, that is what business strategy. Then last is functional strategy, department wise, correct? Under the business unit there are different departments. You have cash department, you have production, sale, correct, marketing. So how you are managing these departments, that is what functional strategy. Remember one thing, functional means department, okay? You can remember like this, functional means departments, correct? HR, marketing, finance, etc. So this is about the 3 types of strategies. Now next is your planning. Planning means what? When you are deciding in advance, correct? That is what planning means. Now under this planning you need to remember one important term, that is SMART. What type of planning and what type of a goal you need to set? SMART, correct? S means specific, M means measurable, A means achievable, R means realistic, and T means timely. This is how you need to create your goals. This is how you are going to create your objectives. Now next here you are going to talk about MBO, management by objectives. So here whenever your management and employees, when they all are working together and they are focusing how they can achieve the organizational goals along with personal goals, that is what MBO, management by objective, correct? And now who gave this term? Peter F. Drucker. In which book? The Practice of Management. So MBO refers procedure where management and employees working together, okay, to establish, record, then monitor the goals for a particular period of time. So that is the meaning of MBO. Now what is the MBO process? You can see first you are going to establish goals, correct? You are going to identify the desired outcomes for each subordinate needs. Then next you are going to set the performance standards, okay, how the standards you are going to give to each and every one. Then you are going to assess performance achieved against the goals. So whatever you have set the performance and the actual performance, now you are going to compare it, and if there is any shortfall, then you are going to see the feedback, like how you can improve this shortfalls. And finally you need to establish new goals, new strategies for the upcoming year. So this is about MBO process. Now in this only you have one more important thing, that is environmental analysis. I always say whenever environment term is going to see, you are going to see, always remember environment includes internal, external, both the environments. What is going on within the organization and what is going on outside the organization. In this we are going to talk about both the sides. So this is what environmental analysis, correct? So here we have steps. First you are going to identify, scanning, analyzing, and forecasting. You know, these are the steps. So you cannot just flip these things, okay? You need to remember like this only: identifying, scanning, analysis, and forecasting. So these are the steps of environmental analysis. Now first thing under this, is your pastel analysis. Pastel analysis, when you talk about external factors. So what are the external factors which affect any business? Pastel. P means political. Okay, all the physical policies, government norms, government regulations, that is included in political. Then next you have economy. Economy means GDP, employment rate, okay, inflation, all these things are included in your economy. Then next you have society, in which area you are working, among who you are working, who are your customers, okay, what type of customers you are working, that particular you can say lifestyle there, what they are following, correct, and how they are behaving, what are their celebrations, how they are using their different languages. All these things you need to adopt if you're setting your business. That is your society. Then next is your technology. How technology is changing, what are the different innovations, like now you can see AI, है ना? So all this included under technology. Then you have environment, how you are going to recycle it, how you are going to do sustainable business, correct, how you are producing the healthy goods, green goods, all these things are included under what? Environmental. And last is your law. Law means like wages, rights, job security, regulation. So basically whenever any regulatory bodies they are giving any rules and regulations, that is included under law. So this is about your pastel analysis, correct? Chaliye. Then next, we are going to talk about internal environmental analysis. Now, under this internal environmental analysis, we are dividing it into three different parts. First one is your gap analysis, next is your strategy evaluation, and the third one is your SWOT analysis. Okay, internal means what is going on within the company, okay, their operations, their management, their internal guidance, all these things are covered under this internal environmental analysis. So gap analysis means here you are going to identify the gaps and internal weaknesses, okay, what you are currently doing and what you are expecting in your future. So what are the differences you are seeing in your organization? That is what gap analysis helps you in. Then next is your strategy evaluation. So now here you are going to analyze the outcomes of strategy executions. So whatever the strategies you have made, now when you are implementing it, okay, so finally after the implementations everything is okay or not, what actually outcome you have received, when you are analyzing those things, that is what strategy evaluation. So it helps to identify the strategies working or needs adjustment, whatever the strategies you have created with that is good for you or not, or you need to improvise it. So that is what strategy evaluation. Then last is a SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, or opportunities and threats. Strength and weaknesses talks about internal working of the organization, correct? Strength means what is the best thing of your organization. Weakness is what is not working for you within your organization. Then opportunities, what are the new particular sectors you can identify in which you can enter, that is opportunities. Then threats, your competitors, correct? So that is about SWOT analysis, and this is about internal environmental analysis. Then next we have planning premises. Now under this planning premises you are making the assumptions or forecast about future conditions that affect planning. So here you are going to talk about the population trends, political economic environment, cost of production, advertising policy, labor, raw materials, etc. All these things you are going to identify how you are going to plan, how you are going to make your environment in which you are going to implement your particular planning. So that is about planning premises. Then next you have contingency planning. If your plan A is not working, then you need to shift towards the plan B. So that is your alternative plan, correct? Your plan B. So this is about your contingency planning. Then next is your forecasting. Forecasting means with the help of your past, with the help of your present, you are going to do the analysis about your future. Okay? That is what forecasting means. So using your past, present data, you are estimating future. That is what forecasting means. Now, in this we have again three types of forecasting. Number one, long-term forecast, which will be for 3 to 5 years. Mid-term forecast, where you are going to talk about business budgeting, minor strategic decisions, or operational and business budgets. And the last one is your short-term. So, short-term forecast is going to be for 1 to 6 months. Okay, so this is about day-to-day operations and your day-to-day financial monitoring. So this is about the forecasting. Now, next is your decision making. See, when you want to go with any one project, so there you are going to find so many alternative ways. Like what? Like whether you want to do directly or whether you want to take the help of any experts or whether you are going for the outsourcing. So you have so many options to achieve your goal, correct? To achieve your goal, you have different options. But which is the best option? You need to make the decision. Now, how you are going to make the decision? When the cost is minimum and the output is maximum, correct? You are earning maximum profit from the minimum cost, but maintaining the resources, maintaining your quality. So that is the decision you need to take among the alternative actions, whatever you hold. So that is about decision making. Now, how the hierarchy of decision makers, you can see there are two. First is your top management. This is about the strategic and crucial decisions. The top level most of your organization, okay, they are making the decisions, they are making the planning. They are the top level. Then you have middle and lower level who are actually implementing these things, okay, who are actually working and who are actually doing the operational decisions. So we have two types of hierarchy of decision makers. First is your top management, then you have middle and lower level. Then next is your group decision making. When you are working together, okay, when you are working as a team, so how you are going to make the decision? So as a team, you are going to accept each and everyone's point of view. Okay, you are going to listen each and everyone's point of view. So in that, whatever the ultimate outcome you are going to select, that is your decision making. So here you are going to see different alternatives, different evaluations you can do. Correct? You can find out easy implementation because of large amount of participations. Then this builds the team spirit and unity. But what are the disadvantages? This is very time consuming and sometimes you're also not getting the final decision. So these are the disadvantages. Now, next is what are the conditions for decision making? See, in this you are going to see three different conditions for decision making. Number one, certainty. When you are 100% sure that only this will happen in your future. When you know, when you can predict, that too with the accuracy. So that is about certainty. Then risk, when you know the 50-50. Okay, this can also happen, that can also happen. You know about the probabilities. So that is your risk. And here you can see that risk. Now, in this you can see two types of probabilities, objective and subjective. Objective probability based on the data. Okay, based on the data, you are taking the decision. And when based on the intuition, you are doing what? You are doing subjective probability. Based on just intuition, I think this might happen. So based on your intuitions, you are making this. So that is what? That is your subjective probability. Uncertainty means what? Not reliable information, no probabilities assignable. You cannot predict because economy is performing so fluctuating, you cannot predict what will happen next. So that is what? Uncertainty. Then you have the principles of decision making. So the first principle is your principle of definition. When you know clearly what are your problems, okay, you can clearly identify your problems. Then principle of evidence. So whatever decisions on factual evidence, so whenever you are first you are going to identify your problems, that is the principle of definition. Then based on the evidences, you are going to take the decisions, what is right, what is wrong. So that is principle of evidence. And then you have principle of identity. So consider all viewpoints before deciding. So before you take the final decision, you need to look and you need to take care of each and everyone's point of view. That is what principle of identity. Then one important term you can see, that is death by plan. So generally top level management, what they are actually focusing on, they are just focusing on decisions. They are just focusing on planning part. They are never seeing what things are going on a ground level. So they are just focusing, they are just taking care of decision making, strategies, forecasting, all of these things. They are never coming on the ground level. They are never working what actually is going on. So that is what death by plan. When an individual or team spends so much time in planning, it means that they run out of time to execute the plan or project. So this is about death by plan. Now, next we have organizing process. Now, organizing process means what task must be completed in order to achieve the laid down objectives. Objective means what? Goals. Okay, so here how you are going to achieve your goals, who will perform which particular activity, that is what organizing. Here you have 5 different process, that is review of your plans and objectives, whatever the planning you have done, whatever the objectives you have set, that is you are going to review. Then you are going to determine the work activities that are needed to accomplish the objectives, what are the steps, what are the activities you need to perform, and then you are going to categorize and you are going to create a grouping essential. So basically you are creating departments. Okay, then assigning activities and delegation authority, who will be responsible for for which particular activity. That is what assignment of your authority. Then next is designing a hierarchy of relationship. Who will communicate to whom? Okay, so here you are identifying top, middle and lower level, how the communication will flow. Everything when you're deciding it, that is the 5 process stages of the organization process. Then next is different terms again we are going to see, like the first is division of labor or work specialization. So when you know what are the objectives you hold, okay, and how you're going to achieve it, so you are going to divide as per their skills, as per their knowledge. Okay, if any individual is having some expertise, they are going to get those particular work only. So that is work specialization. Then authority. So this is the formal power given to the managers. Okay, they are holding the power to take the decisions, to take the different orders, okay, to issue the orders and to allocate the resources. This is about authority. Then next is your chain of command. So here you are ensuring the clear reporting relationship. Okay, who will report to whom, how your hierarchy is actually working. So this enforces the responsibilities and accountability. Now under this you can see 2 different again terms, that is unity of command and scalar principle. Unity of command means one boss per employee to avoid confusion. Okay, you are going to take the instructions from your one boss only. Okay, so that you can avoid the confusion. Then scalar principle, clear chain from top authority to every employee. Okay, so like A will hold 1, 2, 3 employees, take A, B, C. So this is how they are forming the authority. So A is going to be the person or the manager who is going to give the, you can say the guidance, the rules and regulations, correct? He is the one who is going to perform as a boss. And next we have seen the scalar principle. Then last important thing in this particular thing, that is gang plan. So in case of emergency, if you are breaking this hierarchy, then this is your gang plan, correct? Chaliye. Then next you can see the term, that is your delegation. Now delegation means when you transfer of authority and responsibility from superior to subordinates. Okay, next is what? Delegation. So transfer of authority and responsibility from superior to subordinates. That is what delegation, correct? You are assigning your work to your subordinates, you are giving your power, you are distributing your power ultimately. Then next is span of control. So number of direct reports under a management, how many employees are reporting to that one particular manager, that is span of control, correct? Wide means many subordinates, more autonomy and less supervisions. Narrow means few subordinates, more attention and better control and development. So this is about your span of control. Then next we have different types of organizations. So the first type is your centralized organization, when everything is actually taken care by the one or top level management only. That is your centralized. Decentralization means what? When the decision making is actually given to each and everyone, okay, when the things are delegated to different categories. So that is what decentralization. Then line and staff organization. So this organizations are the combination of line and staff, correct? So line executives, they are the command and the control, the daily workers, and staff, they are the guide, they are the advice, they are the support, they are the specialists, they are the experts, correct? Then you have functional organization. So based on the departments by specializations, when you are dividing the departments, that is functional organization, based on HR, based on finance, based on marketing. Okay, then you have committee organization. To solve any one particular complex problem, when you are creating a group, okay, in which you are inviting different experts, then that is what committee organization. So these are the 5 different types of organizations. Then next we have organization structure. Now in this we have 2 types, that is formal and informal. Formal, that you follow in your bank when you have the hierarchy of your communication. Okay? Informal is what? When there is no prescribed rules and regulations, because of your nature, because of your friendship, because of your relationship, when you are creating this. Okay? So that is your informal organization. Then next is your organization chart. So now under this you are going to see the graphical representation, okay, of your roles, responsibilities and reporting relationship. That is your graphic organization chart. Now in this you have 2 types, that is mainly master chart and supplementary chart. So when you know about the organization, just overview when you want to know, that is master chart. But if you want to know in depth about how the organization and what are the roles and responsibilities of each department, then you can use supplementary chart. Now under this, what are the different types of organizational charts? You have 3. Number 1, vertical. top to down, ठीक है, when you have the hierarchy from top to down, and horizontal from left to right, the top level management and their subordinates are working like this. And circular one, you have the top level management in between, and in your 360 degree, all in equally, they all are subordinates are sitting. So you have three types of organizational chart: vertical, horizontal, and circular. Then next is your manual. This is the written documents in which you can talk about the organizational goals, policies, what are their objectives, what are their agenda, what are their roles, responsibilities, everything you can see with the help of this organizational manual. Now here you have the fourth thing which you need to understand under the organizational manual, that is poor. You have four sections under this organizational manual, that is poor. P means policy manual, O means operational, again next O means organizational manual, and R means rules and regulations manual. So this is about your poor, under the organizational manual. Then next you have organizational culture. So we have again four different types of culture: clan culture, advocacy culture, then market culture, and hierarchy culture. Okay? Clan culture, when you are considering everyone as your family, that is what? That is your clan culture. Advocacy, where you are ready for the risk. So here we take the example of startup companies. Correct. Then you have market culture, which particular product is actually succeeding, how you can maximize your particular customer